All right, welcome, Buddy Book Club. I'm Dylan here with our executive chef, Keith, and our stage for the week, Magic. What's up, buddies?
Hey. Yes, chef.
Keith, are you familiar with the terms of the kitchen?
I was using the term sous chef a lot recently when I was over at a boys' weekend. I was like, I'm the sous chef. And I was just asking people what they needed, and I was doing the job. Is that correct, or is that incorrect?
Yeah, I think that's correct. Were you in charge of anything in particular?
Oh, I handled the meat.
There is a name for that. Poissonniere is the fish chef.
Pardon me?
Which checks out. Grill chef is the Grillardin. I don't know, Yardinaire or something like that. Whatever. They're the king or queen of all things grilled. There you go. Magic is our stage, which is the person that does it for free. So.
Wait, this isn't a paid spot?
All right, well, here at the Buddy Book Club, we're getting down some box office bangers, and this week we're discussing Mark Mylod's The Menu. If you'd like to recommend a book or movie for us to read or watch, you can visit our website, buddybookclub.com, or slide into our DMs on Twitter or Instagram, Buddy Book Club Podcast. You can listen to us on iTunes and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, so please download and subscribe. Guys, The Menu.
It's basically a story of what would happen if D-Man lost interest in cooking, right? This is basically what you would do. You just start killing people?
That checks out. Yeah. If I lost interest in cooking, I'd probably go postal at work. So, The guests here, so this is an interesting movie in that we're kind of in one spot the whole time. There's no real scenery change outside of them walking around the grounds, and the focus is just on all these different groups. So I'm not going to explain who all the guests are, because I assume if you're here, you've seen the movie. But who out of these guests, Keith, would you least want to go to dinner with?
That's a good question. You put me on my heels there a bit.
I'm glad to know you're wearing heels, but
I'd say the mom. She
mom?
had one line. His mom. The person that was just drinking in the corner, hammered. I need a little bit more from my guess. I think she said one line, and I laughed out loud. I forget what it was. It was she was like, "That a boy," but she was blacked out.
It was when they made him cook, and he goes, "Oh, what a handsome boy."
Maybe I won't say her that. That was hilarious.
Yeah, she was my most would want to go to dinner with, because she just wanted to, we'd get bottle after bottle, and we'd just hang out.
Yeah.
Magic, what about you? Who'd you least want to go to dinner with out of this group?
I mean, it's got to be the old couple, right? They were just miserable the entire time.
But at least they ate in silence, I feel like, so you don't really have to worry about too much, because for me, it would be Tyler, the foodie guy, because he'd just be explaining everything to me and how they did it, and I don't really care too much. It's kind of like the person that's explaining a magic trick as it's happening. I don't mind knowing how stuff works, how do they get a foam in there? If someone was explaining it to me, I go, oh, okay, cool. But the attitude he has with it, where it's how I have to eat it and how I have to do this and have to do that, I just shut up.
If you're going to a steakhouse or you're going to get a burger, I agree. But if you're going to this place, I feel like you need someone that knows what they're talking about. Otherwise, you're gonna be like, that was okay. But if they're this is how long they took to prepare it and all this stuff, I think that makes it interesting.
His version for you is kind of like when you go to the Sistine Chapel, you need the tour guide to point the shit out to you. Otherwise, it's just that's a mosaic, and they're oh no, this mosaic was made by this person at that time. I'd also be okay with John Leguizamo if I had to go to dinner with these people. He's a washed up actor. Good for him.
You referenced him, by the way, a couple of episodes ago. He was in The Wasp or something.
The Pest. Yeah, I guess that's why we went to The Menu. We just had John Leguizamo in the brain. All right, well, let's get up to the categories. Stock up, stock down. Keith, stock up. What do you got?
Stock up cheeseburgers.
Oh, that's mine too.
All right, we're on the same page. Did that cheeseburger look amazing? I was so hungry after once I got done with the movie. But yeah, cheeseburgers bring joy to people. And really what we learn from this, and the symbolism of really this whole movie, is that you want to save lives, you eat cheeseburgers. And I know, D-Man, you'll turn your nose up and be like, oh no, you can't just have a basic burger and you got to order this, this, and this. Like when we went to that one restaurant and I asked about the filet mignon, remember? And you were like, you laughed at me because it was a seafood place. No, listen, you should have a fucking down the middle fastball type side menu that everyone can order at any time. I know it's called the kids menu, but that's okay. You should have those things. But if you don't want to die and you want to live, they should have that on the menu. Giddy up.
I have no problem. Cheeseburgers stock up for me too. I mean, I have no problem. Don't pose me as this pretentious food person, okay?
We can't both be the anti-establishment guy. You're the pretentious one in this group here.
I'm just saying, if we go to a seafood restaurant, don't get the filet. And in general, if you're going to go to a steakhouse, don't get the filet. you can cook a filet at home that's going to taste almost as good anywhere else. It's filet. You can't fuck that up. So
I disagree.
Get some dry aged ribeye, or get something. Get a porterhouse that has a little filet on it, but also has the sirloin. Get a mix.
That's fair.
The cheeseburger itself, big fan of. I appreciate how it's like none of this highfalutin bullshit. When I want a cheeseburger, I want a basic, delicious. I want cheese.
Fastball down the middle.
I want ketchup. So as long as they say ketchup's fine, then I'm cool with it. Magic, what did you have for stock up?
I have Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
It's kind of like a totally opposite situation where in this movie they're going expecting like a great night, great dinner with their famous host chef, and then I'll just end up dying. Versus like Belle is a prisoner, doesn't want to be there, and then Lumiere puts on this fantastic dinner, show, music, and then like sings her off to sleep. Talk about a 180 from both directions.
Yeah, 100%. Some candle comes up to you and he's like, we're going to have a great dinner. You're like, you're a candle. You don't even have opposable thumbs. Like, what are you possibly going to do for me? And instead you have a delicious dinner with, like you said, music and dancing.
And like actual food.
Yeah, there was real food there. Although they did have the brown stuff, right?
Heroin?
No.
The gray stuff.
Oh, the gray stuff. Yeah.
It's delicious.
I don't know if I trust the gray stuff. I wonder what that gray stuff is. Now I'd have to think about it. Maybe some sort of like pate or something like that. Since my first stock up was cheeseburgers, which was stolen by Keith, I'm going to go with prostitution.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
World's oldest profession, naturally. So normally, at least when I think about prostitution, I'm thinking some back alleys, John's pulling up in a car, scantily clad women of ill repute. But Anya Taylor-Joy here, Margot, if you will, she's getting paid to go to a nice restaurant and she doesn't have to touch any dongs. So, I mean, even the old guy, which is like super creepy and weird, I think she said he just wanted her to jerk him off.
No, not even.
Oh, he jerked off and she said he was a good person?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Yeah, get top dollar for that. Sure, line him up. I'll send my address if there's this stuff's going on. I'll whisper sweet nothings in your ear. No problem. So yeah, it's a pretty good gig. I mean, obviously she was supposed to die, so like that's why he hired her, because he just wanted to hire a prostitute to bring. So Tyler, not a good look on you, and also pretty fucking crazy that he was going to bring his girlfriend that broke up with him. I wonder if that was even true.
One of my questions was, what did his girlfriend do that was so bad? Like, that was never answered, right? They're like, well, we're going to bring a girlfriend and have her killed. What was her offense?
Yeah, well, presumably if she is in a relationship with this total douchebag, then she might have similar interests. Like, they're the people that go into restaurants looking to speak to the manager. They're the people that go to an Outback Steakhouse and say their steak wasn't perfect.
I'll defend Tyler here. Tyler was more of a fanboy than he was a critic. He wasn't a Karen. He was I'm obsessed with cooking and everything that goes with it. Like, he was a huge fan.
Yeah, he was. I agree with you. I don't think he was. He wasn't trying to critique. Complainer. Yeah, he wasn't trying to critique. He was just. He would have loved if the guy put a boiled shoe in front of him. He would have been like, "Oh, this is hilarious! Like, what a great take on fine dining." So, yeah, I'm with you there, but he's the guy who's in his armchair yelling at the TV when the quarterback's playing. A lot of Tom Brady fans in my life, and Tom would have some bad games, and they'd be like, "Oh no, it was because of this, it was because of that." It's like, Tom's had a bad game. Like, move on, close the yearbook.
Fair. Wait, so why is that bad? I don't really get it.
You just don't want that guy around. He's bothersome. He's annoying.
Okay.
No one should like anything that much. Simple as that.
You don't think that he wanted to break up with his old girlfriend, and instead of having to break up with her, he was just like, just come with me to this dinner that I've known all about, and we'll just end it that way?
Yeah, talk about a coward's way out. It's like, I don't want to break up with her. Point. It's like, well, we could just die together. That'd be fine. Like, no ghost on the text or just leave. It's like, no, you come to this thing and then we'll die together. There you go.
But I'm going to hang myself before you die.
Yeah, well, I think that
That was improvised.
It was the actor improvised it. Keith, did you have another stock up?
Stock up quantity over quality. Typically, it's the other way around, but and for me specifically, you know, when I love a food or art form, I'm usually not making tally marks or counting up how many times I've partaken in that sort of experience. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing a running count of how many times I've watched Hitch, which is hundreds of times, or my pizza Sunday intake, or how many times I've listened to Tool albums. But apparently, like the rich couple you guys pointed out, their crime was they don't remember how many times they've dined at this fancy restaurant. And he's like, you don't even know the number. It's like, so? Like, what does that matter?
No,
like
their crime is that they didn't appreciate it. It's an expensive restaurant. It costs $1,300 or whatever it is a head.
Yeah, but if you can do it and you enjoy the experience, what is it? Why is that a crime?
But they didn't enjoy the experience.
Right, I think that was the point. They didn't enjoy it because they didn't even know what they ate.
Let's put it this way. Someone that flies first class all the time, right? That's a really expensive ticket. And they're like, oh, how many times have you flown first class? They're like, I don't know, like 10, 15 times. So you don't even know. Like, you don't deserve to fly ever again. It's like, what? Like, what? Flying sucks regularly. Like, why would I not want to do the best flying experience? It's the same thing with these people. Why is that a crime to be like, I don't remember exactly how many times I've enjoyed this place?
Well, as someone who has flown first class a couple times, and that's just because
here we go.
Just because my mom worked for the airline, so
nice.
I got upgrades or whatnot. I understand the take because there were other people who were obviously like business people or people that fly first class all the time. And it'd be like Boston to Amsterdam or something like that. So an overnight flight. They get on the plane, they get in their first class, they get their blanket, they kind of say whatever to the stewardess and they go right to sleep. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is crazy. This is a first class experience. What are you doing going to sleep? They come over. Would you like wine or beer, sir? I'm like, how about a little of both? They're like, that sounds great, you know? And then they serve it up to you. You're watching a movie. They give you wine and cheese plate. You get a nice dinner. Then they come over for ice cream sundaes. And I'm like, can I have a sidecar of a second sundae with this one? They're like, of course, because I'm going over to the guy who's been sleeping the whole time, like, because this guy's not eating shit. So like, it doesn't matter. It's all in the house. Do whatever you want. I was like, I'm gonna poop in my seat. I'm so excited. And this guy's.
Wait, what? That's what you do when you're excited?
Yeah, of course.
Would you like a hot towel for your shit, sir?
And the other people are just, not appreciating it. The reason why the chef is so disillusioned is because all the normal people that would appreciate it get priced out. And so it's only these rich fucks who want to go there to say they've gone. It's like, oh yeah, I've eaten at that restaurant a bunch of times. And they don't want to go to actually enjoy the experience. It'd be like being a magician to a bunch of blind people. It's just losing all of its joy.
Okay.
They can't see it.
All right, that's fair. I mean, either way, though, he should have been like, what's your favorite meal been? If they're like, I don't know, then yeah, you're just taking this for granted.
He asked them, he said, name one dish. One dish. You've been here.
Did he?
Yeah, he said
all
one
right.
dish. You've
I
been
take
here
it back
like 12 times. Like, give me one dish. He's like, well, I had a hot dish across the table from me, but she just spoke sweet nothings into my ear as I masturbated. Magic, did you have any other stock-ups?
3D printing. I think it might have been technically laser printing.
Yeah, it was probably some sort of like laser etching, but
between like my recent experience at the dentist when they took a mold of my tooth, 3D printed it, and an hour later I had a new tooth. I was like, what the hell? And then now this, criminally indicting evidence on a tortilla.
What is this? It's a tortilla.
Tortilla deliciosa.
Yeah, that's a good one. Those tortillas, I enjoyed that immensely. Actually, I thought that was a fun scene.
I also thought it was funny. It was like people is committing massive white collar crime, and this other person's cheating on his wife, and this guy took pictures of the food. It's like, oh my god, the worst thing ever. It's like, hey, what? That's comparable. Anyway.
John Leguizamo made a movie that the chef didn't like on his day off.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Good point.
He's like, I had one day off, and that movie sucked.
Now I'm gonna kill everyone.
I watched, what's it called? Wasp?
The Pest.
The Pest. I'm going to keep on naming bugs that are not the right movie.
Yeah, he watched The Pest and he didn't like it because it had 12 on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, I get the idea. John Leguizamo's character is stealing from the public in a way because he's making people kind of pay money to go to a movie that he's just mailing it in. And he's also taking that role away from someone else who might do a better job of it. But at the same time, if you went to see the movie or you rented the movie or you watched it on cable TV, whatever the case is, you could have turned it off at any time and watched something else. No one was holding your head to the fire. That's kind of on you, chef. Kind of on you. Stock down. What do you got?
Stock down, and this might be a little hot take here. That's okay. Well, that's what we
It's
do.
a kitchen.
It
It gets hot in there, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Stock down the treatment of mentally impaired.
Pardon me?
I thought we as a society have come a long way here, and you guys already mentioned him, but Tyler's character, there's something wrong with him. Everyone, when things start to go down, all the characters are acting how normal people would act. They're like, holy shit, I'm in a ridiculous situation. They're freaking out. What is Tyler doing? He's like monitoring his food. He's like, oh, this food is pretty good. Like, while people are getting shot in the face and drowned, he has no reaction at all. This is not a normal human being. This is someone that is some sort of mental impairment. He's absolutely addicted to everything about cooking. Every single thing revolves around that. He hired a prostitute. He doesn't give a shit about anything sort of sex stuff. All he cares about, he has no empathy for anyone. All he cares about is the food. I think he has some sort of mental impairment. And what's eventually happening is the chef just doesn't like people that have that. So he's going to have to kill them, which gets me to my hot take point also, is that I think this is Schindler's List too.
Oh.
This is the guy from Schindler's List. He made it out. He runs his kitchen like a Nazi, and he's now trying to kill off people that he doesn't like.
This is his new concentration camp, the Commandant of Hawthorne.
Yeah. Do you guys not think that Nicholas Hoult, the Tyler character, was a little... There's something off with him. Like, he wasn't...
Yeah, there's something off with him. Like, there's something off with a serial killer. Or, like, you know, that's not someone that necessarily should be helped. It's... Put him down.
The only reason he's a bad guy in the audience's eyes is because they asked him, you didn't bring your girlfriend. We were like, you brought this other person. So had they not asked him that, he'd just be like an innocent kid that was super over enthusiastic. He's like a 5-year-old. He's like super over enthusiastic about just cooking, and then they're just gonna kill him because he's like too into it.
Yeah.
Like, that's it, right? Like,
I will say I do share a level of animosity to people that love... There's so much cooking media out there. So much. It's insane. And to the people that just watch Chopped all day or watch all these foodstuffs, but can't properly boil an egg or something like that, I don't really understand it. Maybe I'm just a dick too, but I mean, well, that's for sure.
well, it'd be the same thing as like someone being like, oh, you really like baseball? Then get on the mound and throw a 90-mile fastball. Like, oh, you can't do it? You suck. It's like, no, there's an art form. Like, people are good at stuff and people are bad at it. Like, what do you want to not be a fan of it now?
No. And I don't know. It's a good point.
I felt bad for him when like everyone was laughing at him when he was trying to I'm like, what? Oh, what does this prove? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, he can't do something he loves to watch things. And he enjoys food, and now you're making fun of him for it. I felt bad. He was a little 5-year-old kid. That's his brain was like a 5-year-old development brain. That's what it was, right?
You know, you saw Patrick Mahomes on a beach and you're like, hey, I'm a big fan. Will you sign my football? And he's like, only if you can throw it to me from 40 yards away.
That was not a tight spiral. No.
Yeah, exactly. He's like,
Go hang yourself, you piece of
Yeah.
shit. Yeah.
Okay.
Magic, you're quiet over there. What do you think of that take?
I get it, but I also think the part like where he doesn't react to any of this stuff is just because he knows what's happening.
Yeah, that's why he doesn't run away.
Unless you like are used to people just shooting themselves in the face every weekend, you wouldn't be a little bit perturbed by that? Even if you knew it was going to happen, wouldn't you still be like, "Oh shit, this is real"?
Yeah,
now?
I mean, I could see both sides, but I think the fact that he knew kind of explained. At least I thought that's what they were trying to explain, why he like didn't want to go play hide and seek or whatnot. It's just like, what's the point? I'm dying anyway.
Which is actually a big mistake by him because he didn't know that if he hid the longest, he was actually going to get a whole nother course. He fucked that one up because he could have had that Escoffier egg. Magic, what do you have for stock down?
I don't know the correct word for this, but basically, COVID being a hoax, truthers. Reason being, this is now the second movie I have seen that has referenced COVID as having existed, and I thought that was interesting.
What was the first one?
Glass Onion.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh god, that movie sucked.
I think that's how we started wanting to do the movie ones, because you just wanted to watch that movie and talk shit about it.
Yeah. Wait, did you like it, Magic?
I think I did. I can't really remember it. One of those just like, it was entertaining for a couple hours. But also too, like this movie was basically kind of like a COVID setting, right? Like it was just like they were in their little bubble and there wasn't a lot of like locations or anything. It was kind of all within one confined space.
That's a good
But
point.
the tables were like socially distanced and stuff like that too.
The tables were like their own little ecosystem of uncomfortability-ness.
Yeah.
And I just made that word up. Stuck down for me is just fine dining in general. I mean, it's the same reason I don't like golf. 4 to 5 hours to finish something there's nothing that I want to do for 4 to 5 hours, really. Maybe spike ball. But outside of that, I just don't have any interest. And there's a chance you could die. Golf from a stray drive, fine dining from a murderous chef. So why would you want to participate in that? Have you guys eaten at a fine dining restaurant or any multi-course situation?
I went to a Michelin star in Mexico.
Okay.
It was pretty nice. In Cancun, so it was not real Mexico.
Yeah, it was a multi-course sit-down situation?
Yeah, no, I thought it was fun. It was like probably an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay.
It was fun. I wouldn't do it every weekend, but it was like, I've never experienced anything like this. And then I could say I ate weird stuff, which now Dylan can't make fun of me for it. So,
Or I can make fun of you for eating it because you now only ate it so that you could say you could eat it, not enjoying it.
Well, I'm going to mute that part. That's getting deleted out.
What do we think about the no bread? Would you get butthurt about no bread?
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, I feel like that's like the first kind of like, oh, this is like a real fuck you to what's going on here.
I would have left right then and there. There's no bread, I'm out. See
it's
ya.
like bread's for peasants, and you all are not peasants, so you don't get bread.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that was like a nice way to say that. But wait, no, I want the fucking bread.
See, I think I would have been with Tyler on this one. I would have just enjoyed eating the toppings, which supposedly the actor, they filmed it the whole day, the scene, whatever, the whole day. And the whole time he has to continue doing the scene where he's like tasting them. So he said he had so much oil like in his mouth. He just had that like his mouth was all coated with oil from just eating oil all day. I was like, that's
gross.
Fucking disgusting. So good for you on that. Stock up, Holt. Good for you. Keith, did you have another stock down there?
Last one, the movie Downsizing, stock down. Again and again, I will sell this, Steve-Man. It's my least favorite movie, I think. But originally, this was supposed to be directed by the guy that did Downsizing.
Oh.
Which would have made this movie awful. He would have just shoved the whole class stuff down your throat. It would have been rudderless movie. It would have been fucking awful about social commentary. Instead, we had a fun story, a good story that still had the social commentary in there, but it was actually good. Also, Hong Chow, who was in it. Once I saw her, I was like, oh, this movie's going to suck. But she was great. She was in Downsizing also. But she was great in this, so appreciated that.
I liked her in Downsizing. Honestly, I did.
Oh, God. She could have been good. I don't remember. I just hated that movie so much. So, no comments?
No, I saw Downsizing. It wasn't good. I'm with you. You just don't have to keep beating up on it. I feel bad for all the people. Matt Damon.
As a star-studded cast, it wasn't like a fucking indie.
Did you see the Matt Damon Great Wall of China movie?
No.
That's worse.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but I could have told you that. Downsizing, the preview for it was like, oh, this is a funny comedy about like the idea of this. I'm like, this is great. Whoever did the trailer for that should be given multi-million. Like that guy was the best trailer producer of all time because that movie was so fucking bad.
Magic. What else? What else to stock down? What do you got?
I got nothing.
Okay. These kind of go together. Foodies and Yelpers. I don't like the idea of people that call themselves foodies. I don't like when someone refers to me as a foodie. I like food. I would not consider myself a foodie. I've been out to eat like 6 times in the last 2 years. So I feel like foodies, I don't know, go out to eat and critique and go on Yelp and put big reviews like they're James Beard or something like that. It's just no thanks. And in relation to that is wine weirdos. I don't like wine weirdos. I loved when the guy was pouring the wine and he said it had a faint sense of longing and regret. And people are like, oh, yeah, nice. I can really taste the longing. I hate that stuff. Like, oh, I taste black currants and raspberries. I buy boxed wine, okay? And I don't think I'm better than anyone because I buy boxed wine. I just don't understand. Anytime there's ever been a double-blind wine tasting, all of the professionals get it wrong. They need to look at the label to tell you if it's good or not. So I just don't trust that stuff. Mm-hmm. My last and final and most important stock down. This may cause havoc here, but s'mores.
Yikes.
Chef calls them the most offensive assault on the human palate ever contrived. And I honestly agree. I don't like s'mores. Overrated.
Sorry, Magic, for having you on. This is tough to listen to.
I thought he said that was most offensive, but then he's like, until you add fire. And then I was like, wait, so he likes them when you melt the marshmallow?
Yeah, I think the corollary is with all of the people, that all the people are the offensive assault on the human palate ever. And once you add fire to them, it's going to be a cleansing thing. And I also agree that if you were just to have the pieces of a s'more combined without the fire, it's obviously not good. I'm not, breaking any headlines with that, but I'm fine with just a marshmallow on a stick. That does it for me.
Or a nice game of Chubby Bunny.
It never breaks right. People never do that. They never do the marshmallow appropriately. They either burn it or they don't melt it enough. And the chocolate is never melted. It's just like hard chocolate.
Seems like an attack on Magic's wedding right
assault,
now. Yeah, it really seems like that was the best. I was like, that's one of the best things for the night before. That was fucking awesome.
Sure. For a little wedding get together, I get it.
Oh, little wedding? Here we go. Now he really does. A wedding that's similar to Downsizing, the movie. Just little.
But you didn't like the reading we had you do either.
I loved my reading.
Did you? I remember you improvising some of it and going off script.
Yeah, well, that's what I do. I go off script. I am a professional here, all right? I have to put a little of my own flair into it, just like Chef Slovak. I didn't burn everyone alive, though. So yeah, so you guys like s'mores. That's cool. That's cool with me. You know what? When you guys come here in June, I'll have some marshmallows and graham crackers, and you can cook them in the fire. All you want. Keith, what'd you love about the menu?
Love-wise, I was tense the whole time. I didn't really know what's going to happen. I had 0 phone looks. I think
wow.
you measure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember ever looking at my phone.
0 phone looks.
I'm going to miss something if I look away right now. Every single thing's a subtle hint to what's actually going to happen. I was locked in, which is all you can ask from a movie.
What was your favorite part of it?
I wish I almost didn't see the previews, because some movies, when you go into it, you have no idea what it's about. This one, you kind of knew there was a horror element to it. I mean, obviously, like, the whole element is ominous when they got there, but when the guy goes to, like, give the speech and then shoots himself, that scene would have been so much better if I didn't. I was kind of like thinking like something bad's gonna happen here once they start rolling the plastic out, you know. So I kind of saw that coming, but if I didn't, I think that would have been one of the best like turns.
Yeah, like shocks.
Yeah, I wish it was just like, oh, you're watching a cooking movie and it's it becomes a thriller, and I'd be like, oh, okay, and then all of a sudden the guy shoots himself. I'd be like, holy shit, But
yeah,
I still liked it even if I knew it,
I'm with you there too. I like the Coast Guard one myself. Just because that I actually didn't see coming. I thought they were just going to kill the guy. Like the chef was going to figure out a way to kill him or something like that. But everyone just, him using the little lighter gun or whatever. Bang.
I thought that was going to be a bong. I was convinced.
They all get high. All of a sudden it's half baked too. Dave Chappelle walks in. Which part did you like the most, Magic?
The best thing I liked about this movie was the humor in general, especially because I watched it again a second time. I thought it was much more enjoyable a second time, focusing on the humor and not like what's going to happen, what like Keith is saying, what's the this and that, what does this mean for the future. And specifically, the sommelier was a fucking riot.
Yeah, he really was the best.
I feel like he got less French as the thing wore along. Faint sense of longing and regret. And then by the end, he was just full American, and just his laughter when they hung that guy by the wings. He's like, "Oh my God, look!" Wait, what?
Yeah, he was good, and yeah, the humor was underrated in it because it is dark comedy, black comedy, whatever you want to call it. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that as well. One of the things I loved was the chef's mentality when he starts the meal. And it's something that I feel like is important and none of us do. I do it all the time as well. But when he says, don't eat, taste, be mindful, most of us just go places and cook for ourselves and we just eat. I mean, I almost every night make dinner, we sit in front of the TV and watch Jeopardy as we eat. And we're just watching Jeopardy. We're just consuming calories and watching Jeopardy. We're not appreciating the food we eat. So I like that mentality. I wish I could do that, but I'm going to stick to watching Jeopardy and just eating. But I like the idea. Magic, what did you love about the menu?
A lot of the staff were just fun and funny. Like Elsa too. I think it was Elsa. Was she the host?
Yeah. Yep.
The way that she switched so quickly between being like, "Can I get some bread?" "No." "Oh, okay. Well, here, let me get your jacket." Just over the top, such a well-mannered host, and then just being like, "You're not going to get anything you deserve." "Oh, okay."
And when she takes them into the smokehouse and she's explaining everything, oh, what happens if we eat it after 153 days? Which, it's almost like a question that doesn't need answering kind of thing. The guy's just trying to be funny. And she comes up with this elaborate, well, you'll die from bacterial ingestion And she just does it straight though.
Oh, I thought that was straight. I was like, oh shit, these guys are serious.
I thought that was what's the Chekhov's gun?
Go on.
Is that the thing that's like you say it, you got to come back later. I think that's what they made the burger for her out of.
Oh, so you say. So you think that she dies
Yeah.
anyways.
That's my theory. I saw that there. I was like, oh, I like that.
I like that.
It's like, why
I
would
like
they
that a
need to
lot.
go into that bacteria thing about eating old beef if it wasn't going to be relevant?
Ah.
Yeah, the only
Good
problem
point.
is that this doesn't make any sense for how it would work. Like you could age it for
Well,
as
a lot
long
of
as
the
you
ending
want.
didn't make a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
that you could age it for as long as you want to age it. But yeah, it's interesting. I did see that was like a theory is that she just dies anyways from tainted beef.
Yeah, I mean, she gives that like weird look while she's eating on the boat. Like it's like the end of Inception, and then just like screen out. It's like, huh? I wonder.
Okay, Keith, what else did you love?
I thought there was a lot of like intense and scary parts that didn't necessarily warrant it. Like the yes chef. Anytime they said that, I was like, holy shit! You know, I like jump every time. I loved it. Yeah, and the claps. Yeah. So I like that. Have you guys watched the
Bear.
Bear? Have you guys watched
Oh
that?
yeah, big fan.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I mean they do that there too a lot, which I love too.
When you're trained in the brigade system, it's probably one of those things that's hard to get away from. But at the same time, it makes sense. You know, you need to know that people are hearing you. I loved just the little details in it. There's so many little things here and there. We were talking about the end of the scene with like Anya Taylor-Joy when she's eating the burger on the boat and she's wiping her mouth, like using the menu as a napkin, which, you know, probably has a lot of symbolism in there. Just she's having a classic burger and wiping her mouth with this pretentious menu. And additionally, when they have Tyler cook, he like burns his hand on the pan when he's trying to do it. Yet compare that to Chef at the end when he's about to light everyone on fire, he just grabs a coal from the grill without even flinching. He just grabs it. That's just to show all the effort, all the hours he's put into his craft, that his hands just, he doesn't feel shit anymore because he's been burned so many damn times it like doesn't even affect him, where Tyler just touches like a warm pan and it's like, ow.
Yeah, I don't like laughing at that type of thing, but you know, that's just me. You know, when someone's disabled, I don't usually laugh at that, but that's.
He's not disabled.
Tell me what he is.
He's
then,
a
sir.
psycho. He's just an egomaniac psychopath. That's what he is.
How is he ego? He, if anything, he's like no ego. He's literally bows down to the chef the whole time.
No, because he's
That's
his
the opposite
only
ego.
well, whatever. His only concern is that the chef likes him. He doesn't care about anything else. He snaps at his date. He's shushing people. He's like, when she goes to eat her oyster, he's pushing her hand away so he can take a picture. He's a prick.
If you're gonna spend $12.50 on a food experience, you can do whatever you want. You can enjoy it.
Yeah, well, she can also do whatever she wants, and if she wants to grab
The thing
her
is,
oyster,
the old couple didn't enjoy it enough, and he enjoyed it too much. Like, come on, what are we
yeah,
doing
we
here?
need a
Which one is it?
Goldilocks zone. We need a.
I don't know what that means.
It's
like too hot, too
Yeah,
cold. Okay,
yeah.
fair enough.
Magic. What else do you love?
I liked how they had the text overlay for each course, and then that got sequentially more humorous as it went on. It was the mess, bone marrow, this, that, like R.I.P. Jeremy. And then by the time you get to the end, it was like s'mores, this, list, staff, guests.
Well, do you guys watch Chef's Table?
Negative.
No, you're such a foodie.
That all comes from Chef's Table, like that camera work and the way they show the dishes and with the writing on them is directly from Chef's Table, who was made by David Gelb. And they had him on this movie as like a secondary director, and he shot all of those food styling scenes. Last thing for me was just that Tyler knew everyone was going to die. I just liked when that became clear, because similar to what you said, Keith, once we went into this movie kind of knowing what was going to happen to some degree, and I don't care much about symbolisms and themes as we've talked about before, but all that stuff was pretty straightforward in this, which for some reason critics had some issues with, like, oh, it's tried and true, like just go back hating on the rich and pretentious people. It's like, yeah, okay, I didn't mind it. But tied everything together when Tyler was like, yeah, I knew everyone was going to die, because that explains, one, why he didn't seem to care when all that other shit was going down. And also it made his character a dick because he brought his date, which otherwise, Keith, maybe he wasn't such a bad guy. Maybe he was just had some issues.
Yeah. Thank you.
Keith, what'd you hate?
I kind of went through most of mine. Or the only thing other than that was I like the Catherine character. She was the one that stabs the chef for like over sexual harassment. The only issue I had with that though is this movie's full of symbolism, and she didn't stab him in the dick. Why'd she stab him in the thigh? You know what I mean? Like that is the symbolism right there.
I think she stabbed him in the thigh because that's where he stabbed his dad, right?
Oh, is that right?
Like his dad was mistreating his mom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I thought
yeah,
that
because he
was
stabbed
the
her
one of
in the chicken thigh.
All right, well, I guess there was symbolism. Damn it. I thought it was like, holy shit, she stabbed him in the dick. That's hilarious. And then I was like, oh, the thigh. Like, well, come on. What are we doing here?
Also, it'd be harder to stab someone in the dick. Like maybe it's particularly warm out and it's hanging a different way. Maybe
Oh, yours
leans
hangs?
to the right.
Oh, that's good.
Maybe it's pointing
It's
a
not
different
inside
way.
you? Oh, all right. Nice. Totally.
Magic, what'd you hate?
I think we already touched on this a little bit, but I didn't particularly care for the backstory of why the movie star was there and his assistant. It's just like you're saying, because he saw a movie he didn't like on his day off.
I think he was saying he like ruined art, I think is what he was getting at, right? Like, oh, you're not an artist.
Yeah, I think that's the idea, is what I said earlier, of the idea that he's just mailing it, like has the opportunity, but is just mailing it all in, doesn't care anymore, and forcing people to go see these shitty movies, even though he's not really. But
Was it like an anti-Marvel stance secretly? Maybe.
yeah, maybe it was an anti-Matt Damon stance for taking the money for downsizing and the Great Wall movie.
Now we're getting on the same page here, boys. Here we go.
Yeah. It's like, Matt Damon, you're such a good actor. Why are you doing this Great Wall movie where there's aliens in it? It doesn't make any sense. He's like, they paid me $10 million.
Spoilers,
and you all
kid.
went
I
to
haven't
see
seen it. Jeez.
They're not aliens. They're like creatures. It was so bad. It was like a get so stoned that you don't know your own name and watch it, and it might be enjoyable. I don't know. The only thing I really hated was just the idea of taking pictures of food at a restaurant. I don't understand it. I never understood it when people do that. Maybe if you're like going to try to recreate something, the whole social media idea of needing to take a picture of something you ate at a restaurant and then post it to social media, it just doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's my fault for consuming social media, but I went on and there was someone that like had a friend who like had their anniversary at Elena, which is Oleana, whatever it is, the Chicago restaurant that's super famous. And there was 30 photos of every single dish. And then if you eat out at a restaurant, there's people just like taking pictures of everything. I don't know. It's just tough. I've been watching a lot of old movies recently, or older, not old, but pre-cell phone. And it's so enjoyable that they don't have to build that into the narrative of if something's happening, everyone pulls their phone out. It's just like, no, that didn't exist. So it's just a simpler thing. To each their own, but fuck it.
They should die. Yeah, totally.
All right, so some studio notes. Mark Mylod directed. He'd worked on Succession and Shameless, but most importantly, he directed Ali G's Into House.
Oh,
I don't know if you guys saw that movie, but yeah, that's maybe where it gets his comedy filming from. The movie made $80 million on a $30 million budget, and it also is on HBO, so it's hard to really gather how much actual money it made because some of that subscriber base is probably enjoying that they get content like this. So yeah, I mean, tripled up just in people going to see it. So that's not bad. Normally we talk about what's the difference between the book and the movie, but this doesn't have a book. So let's get into recast, rewrite, and review. It's got 88 on Rotten Tomatoes with a 76 audience score. Emma Stone was supposed to play the Anya Taylor-Joy character, but she had to back out due to scheduling conflicts. What do we think? Emma Stone would be better or worse or the same?
I think she'd be very similar. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I mean, I'm cool with either of them. Emma Stone for me is, I think she's a really good comedic actor. I don't know how she would have done it. I thought Anya Taylor-Joy was great.
Yeah, I think I like Anya Taylor-Joy better. Has Emma Stone done anything where she's kind of like not like the innocent little good girl that you're cheering for?
I'm sure she has,
I mean,
but
probably,
I
but
don't know.
nothing
La La
that I
Land?
can remember. Versus like Anya Taylor-Joy, like her stuff in Peaky Blinders and stuff is like she's got a little edge to her.
She did such a good job. The relationship between her and Ralph Fiennes in the movie, just the way their banter back and forth, I thought was really well done. That I wouldn't want anyone else to do it. She was the only one that kind of like stood up to him and was like, fuck you. Like, you know, he's like, oh, just eat it. She's like, I'll eat when I want to eat. Thank you. Like, yeah, fuck yeah.
I also listened to an interview with Anna Taylor-Joy, and she sounds like she's faking a British accent. Like her American accent sounds regular, and I'm like, what are you doing, faking a British accent here? Because it sounds so much weirder on her than like her normal voice does. Well, I guess her American voice does.
If you consider the three main characters as Fiennes, her, and Holt, then they're all British.
Yeah,
yeah, but they were all doing American accents, and I thought they were great. It was very well done. Very well done. Movie Bob, our guy, said, bad pretentious art that thinks it's critiquing bad pretentious art told exclusively through the medium of food metaphors. Yay. I just thought this was such a meta review because Bob doesn't make movies. He's just a guy on YouTube that reviews movies. It's like he's doing the same thing to the movie that the food people were doing to the food. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It almost like it's getting too meta for me because you could just take this one out and just say Bob is doing bad pretentious thing on bad pretentious thing on bad pretentious. You could just keep going. It's like looking into a kaleidoscope here. Also, he gave it, this guy, I mean, I don't even know. We don't care. But he gave it a 3 out of 10. And it just seems like that's just too low. Like, the movie wasn't bad, right? I liked it, but I could understand how someone didn't like it, but not.
Right,
like,
right. A 3 out of 10
terrible.
is like 3 times better than downsizing.
But Bob also gave an 8 out of 10 to Cocaine Bear. So now I have to go see Cocaine Bear because now I'm excited.
I have the exact same similar review as that. Mine was Nick Johnston from Violand, Boston. It's a Boston blog. But he said, like the appetizers, I'm going to butcher this, but like the appetizers, entrees, and apéritifs, so lovingly filmed here, the menu is a fetish object styled as an indulgent antidote to unearned pretension, one meant to be appreciated, not to be enjoyed. I don't know what that means. That's
the most pretentious thing I've ever read.
But also pretension, which I thought is a word means pretentious, is a different word. Did you know that? So I was like,
no, I didn't.
I was like, who's this fucking asshole being pretentious? But pretension's a different word, which I don't. It's just a word salad. But then I went into the same thing you did. I looked up, I'm like, oh, this guy must like the most artsy fucking best movies ever. He gave fucking fresh ratings to Ant-Man 3 and to Magic Mike 3. So he literally he's like, oh, fuck these original movies. These the third variations of this dumb shit again and again. Those are better. Like, God damn it. Anyways.
Honestly, I like almost every movie I watch. Even Downsizing, I didn't like it, but it was like fine.
Like
it was fine, whatever.
Like
it was like whatever. Ant-Man 2, maybe one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It made zero sense whatsoever.
Well, I heard Ant-Man 3 is worse than it. So
that's amazing. Yeah, it's like The Hobbit 2, just terrible.
I didn't fully understand this section, but I will say I read a review that said each of the characters was meant to represent one of the deadly sins. So that's cool.
Oh.
Interesting.
Oh.
I like that.
Would you like me to go through them?
Yeah, quickly. I would kind of like that.
All right, quickly. Sloth, laziness, the chef's mom.
Okay.
Envy, the food critic.
Yeah.
Pride, finance bros.
Mm-hmm.
Lust, old man.
Mm-hmm.
Greed, movie star.
Mm-hmm.
Gluttony, Tyler.
Yep.
Wrath, the chef.
I thought the pride and greed would be switched between the finance bros and the movie star.
I feel like you could.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I like it. I agree. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, actually, wait. Yeah, greed should definitely be the finance bros because pride is John Leguizamo's character for sure because he like says he knows the chef. He's like, oh yeah, I know the chef. I know the chef. And it's like, wait, he doesn't know the chef. He's like, no, I was just lying so that people thought I liked stuff, So yeah, I'd swap those two, but that's interesting.
Yeah, I like that.
I hadn't heard that, and I wonder if there's anything to it. Let's interview the director. Let's get him on. Anything that you guys would recast or rewrite about this one?
Hard to say on recast. I think they were all good, kind of in their specific
Respective
roles.
Yeah. I mean, even the the critics side piece there, the guy. I thought he was so good. Carrie Yes Man. He played the Yes Man so perfectly.
In his little chicken coop scene.
I would have made Tyler's character worse in terms of like what you had mentioned. Like he's like an overbearing Karen who's like, no, I know better than you. I like more an obnoxious character. I thought he was like, I felt bad for when he died, where you don't want that.
Yeah, maybe like on the boat when she goes to grab the oyster and he just kind of like moves her hand away to take the picture. Instead, he like slaps her hand or something like that. Like it's a little uncomfortably physical.
He wasn't also rich. He was like, I saved up all my money for this. It's hard to dislike that guy.
Not really a recast, but I think a casting decision they made that worked for the better. Apparently, Daniel Radcliffe was supposed to play the movie star originally.
Really?
But I feel like that would have just taken away from the whole movie, because it would have been just like, oh, here's Harry and Voldemort again. And that's not really
exactly.
the whole point of it.
No, 100%.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The only thing I really would have changed was I would have liked if the Coast Guard guy was blatantly one of the sous chefs or maybe like the fisherman or something, just to really hammer home the idea that these people don't care about anyone really in the service industry or people that are serving them. It's all about them. And he was just so obviously in the kitchen the whole time. And yet he comes in his Coast Guard uniform and they're like, oh, look, Coast Guard guy.
Kid, that was to show that the military, aka the Nazis, were on his side still. Schindler's List 2, like we talked about. That was just symbol. You missed the symbolism there, apparently, but that's what that was.
Yeah, I did. That was over. It was over my head. So what do you give it, Keith?
I don't know if we're allowed to do quarter stars, but I gave it 3.25 buddies for stars. I thought it was close to that 3.5. It was so gripping, and Magic said he watched it again. I was like, oh, this is probably one I wouldn't watch again very soon, at least. Maybe it should be higher, but I really liked it. That 3.5 is elite. I wasn't ready to get the elite status. It was a great movie, though, I would say.
Magic, out of 4 buddies, aka stars.
Oh, jeez. Okay. I did mine out of 5. I got to read.
Yeah, so recalibrate.
All right. So on my first watch, then, out of 4 stars, I would give it a 2.9.
Okay.
And then on the second watch, I would give it a 3.3.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. Wow.
And I think you might disagree with me that it got better on the second watch, but I liked it more. I liked it the first time, but the second time I feel like you can really less like on the edge of your seat, like what's happening here, and enjoy it more for like the dynamics of the thing, especially the relationship between Tyler and Margot. Of like, you go the whole movie the first time thinking they're like boyfriend and girlfriend, or like she's his new girlfriend, but then when you find out that he just hired her, like some of their dialogue in the beginning, it's like, you can't talk to me like that. Well, I paid for it, so yes, I can. It's like, paid for the meal and for her. It's like it's kind of stuff like that. Yeah, that's a fun little plot point.
I also think there's good background scenes as they're talking in the dining room. You're less interested in exactly what's happening because you've already seen it once, that you can pay attention to everything else that's happening. And they just did a good job of making the whole scene lively. I did not like it as much the second time watching it. I did watch it again, but it take a ton away. It was just all those fun, shocking moments weren't there. I did enjoy the comedic aspects and the sceneries and whatnot, but it didn't really get me as much the second time. I give it 3 buddies, which is a very good score in my book. I would recommend it to anyone. All right. Well, Magic, thanks for joining us. Always a good time.
First 2 times buddy.
Oh.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right. So I've done a book. I've done a movie. Like, what are you guys going to do next? Like, what's the next medium?
That's a great question.
Album reviews. Tool albums. We go through all the Tool albums.
4 to 4 buddies every time, baby.
All right, Keith. Good times. We're coming up next. I think we got the Rose Code, the book.
Yep.
And then we're going to do a movie, I think, The Sandlot. We're going to keep it going, but I'm trying to gear us towards some childhood favorites. So, hey, you folks in Casper, Wyoming, speak up. Let Keith know that childhood favorites are better than blockbusters.
Sounds like it's all on the menu.
Oh, stay in.
Got it. With that, bye now.